And welcome back to Truth Hurts, where we expose the corrupt politicians in St. Paul and Washington, D.C., anywhere. And, whoa.
Sorry.
Geez, Bridget, first time on the show, huh? Just like, what was that noise?
My apologies.
No worries. Well, is that your computer?
No, mine crashed, so I stole my friend's.
Oh, is that an Apple?
No, it's just like the most basic. It's a Google.
Gotcha. Okay, well,
Chrome.
we'll excuse that. By the way, join me as usual. Bridget, reading your comments at home.
Yes.
She gets to go first today. Let us know where you're
Let's do
watching
that more
from, by the
often.
way, if you're watching live. If you're not, you probably don't get it. Well, actually, we'll have the stream up there so you can see who's commenting. Also joining me, part of the duel that we call the Political Junkies, Mega Jesse. How you doing there, buddy?
Yeah, doing good. Right off the state fair, so yeah, we had a lot of fun there, and yeah, happy to be here.
And running the dials as always, Mr. Dawson. They call him Deep State Dawson for a reason.
Hello, it's me. I'm something might be going on with Rumble right now, but I'm working on it.
Do we are we not live on Rumble right now? Is that what you're
I
saying?
think it's a Rumble issue. Because
At this point, it's probably a Rumble issue, but I'm working on it.
But does that mean we're not live on Rumble? So
No, we must be live on Rumble because we're sending it to it. But
It's a Rumble issue, I think.
It's
I
a
don't think
Rumble
that anybody
issue, yeah,
would be
looks
able
like
to
it.
see us. Yeah.
Because I tried to get on there.
Hopefully we'll get to your comments on Rumble if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. Actually, most of our audience watches after the fact. Not a lot of people watch live on YouTube or Facebook. By design, right? We had to get off those platforms. When I say get off the platforms, stop pushing people to those platforms because they censor. So most of our audience watches live on Rumble. So we're without that live audience temporarily. I think we'll solve this issue. Today we're going to talk about it's back to school day in Minnesota. So equipping your children for the woke indoctrination. We got a child toolkit. We're going to talk about this SRO bill. I don't think anyone knows what the heck a school resource officer is, or am I just out of place? We used to call them police liaison officers. Is that that seems like the language? That's
It was
how I would
always
refer to
school
them.
resource officer for me, at least, going to school.
Was it in
yeah.
Idaho?
Same thing here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I'm
that's
just
just
old
what we
school,
called
you're
them.
saying. They
Maybe.
ended up changing the term somewhere along the way.
Somewhere.
I get maybe they just aren't considered police as heavily as they used to be or something. I don't know.
Oh, maybe they don't want the police in the name. Maybe that's it. I don't know. We're going to talk about this issue. It's really weird. That's all the buzz. It's slow. It's slow in politics right now. We're still going to do a show for you. But, I mean, like, this is...
Rumble's up and running.
Rumble's
Yeah,
up.
it's
as
Okay,
far as I
good.
can tell.
We're going to get into the State Fair recap. There's going to be a special election in Minnesota because Ruth Richardson, Jesse's got some good info on her. Just awful left-wing Democrat. And maybe get to a couple other issues. We'll see. We didn't know what the heck we come into the office this morning. We didn't know what we were going to talk about today. Like, honestly. Because we've been so overwhelmed with the State Fair. Like, pumping in resources. A lot of people buying shirts or getting shirts, getting fans, signing our petition, full operations. And it's just really been a slow news cycle, I'd say, in the last week. And on top of that, Labor Day weekend and back to school. And I got two little children, first and third graders. So, like, I come into the office today. I'm like, I don't know what we're going to talk about. Should we do a show about nothing? And then we were like, wait, back to school. That's what's on people's minds today. And so we got talking. We said, what about combating the woke indoctrination? Okay, so I'm going to just say I'm the one with the children here. Jesse and
No kids.
Dawson were in school not so what's that?
I said no kids.
Yeah,
whatever you say
Not
about
that I know of.
Jesse, you're a little older than Dawson, but Dawson, you went to school probably 6 years ago. Is that when you would have graduated high school?
Yeah, I think so. I graduated in 2017.
2017,
6
6 years ago. Okay, so we're not that far off from him being in school. You guys a little bit older.
Do you not
Yeah,
count
definitely.
college as
What's
school?
that? Well, college isn't
Well,
really back
it's
to
different.
school, right?
I felt like it was, but maybe not. I don't know.
Whatever.
Brad Ganser says kids first. Lots
Yeah.
of exclamation points.
Yeah, and I know what he means. It should be the agenda. It should be the Republican
Yeah.
agenda. I love that idea. Okay, so school has changed. Even college has changed, by the way, since I went there. But obviously, we're fighting the woke indoctrination. I don't need to tell you about this stuff. You know this stuff. So what do you do to arm your kids for the woke indoctrination? Now, Bridget wasn't in her show prep. So, Bridget, we're going to say what we came up with. You get to choose if you want some other topics in here. But what do you put in that kid's backpack when you send them off to school? And really, I'm referring to, like, the government schools here, right? Let's just be honest. If you're going to like a private school, you're probably okay. A lot of people homeschooling. What did I just see?
What
the
is
stat?
my question? What are you asking exactly?
What do you put in the kids' backpack to equip them for the woke indoctrination they're going to encounter? Okay, we came up with a couple,
Okay.
and I think if you're homeschooled, this is probably not going to matter. If you're homeschooled, we got a whole set of problems here. If you're getting the woke indoctrination. So number one thing that we put in there, mask exemption card. So we don't know. I mean, honestly, we just did a show on Thursday about this. Is COVID 2.0 coming back? I don't know. But for certain, if it does, they're going to push the masks in school again. Now, I know a lot of us feel really strongly about getting those damn masks out for kids. And the KN95 masks, which are like the ones that are effective at stopping disease spread, you shouldn't be wearing for more than an hour anyhow, right? It's got negative health repercussions. So that mask exemption. Now, here you just told me before you come in the studio, Bridget, Dr. Jill Biden, the First Lady of America, tested positive
She's
for
positive
COVID.
and quarantining.
Is she actually quarantining?
That's what
they
I said. Yeah, I think somewhere in the White House. I think.
So, this is how they're going to kill Biden,
so-
right? This
yeah.
is what they're going to do.
But he's negative, so don't worry.
No. He's negative now. That's what's going to happen. Jill Biden unfortunately passed it. No, it's going to be spread some other way, right? Unknown, right? It'll be mystified.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have any idea. Anyhow, he's going to catch COVID, and then that'll be their tool for killing Joe Biden.
You mean killing Joe Biden or making him not run? Killing him.
Killing him.
Oh,
Right? They got to get rid of him eventually.
yeah.
I don't know if I really believe that. I'm still going towards they're going to go into that convention, and that's when they're going to have like the health scare or some reason Joe Biden can't run again.
Or at the very least, they're going to use this as an example for why we need the mandates, why we need the lockdowns, because Joe Biden wants to create his own vaccine now. And so, they're definitely going to politicize the fact that Jill Biden has COVID. They're going to use it to, increase government control over us.
But that's why I'm saying they killed Joe Biden.
Yeah, it could.
Because
I mean, that very well
if
could
it kills
happen
the president, we've got to go lockdowns again.
too. Yeah.
Right? It's an existential threat.
Right. Kamala's going to, and the Kamala lockdowns, as if they couldn't get any worse. Kamala lockdowns would, be a nightmare in this country.
Yeah, Mark says, whoopie doopie, tested positive third time. Yeah, it's back. Actually, I know someone else that tested positive. It's like, okay, yeah.
I just don't even care about the tests at this point either.
Yeah, no,
It's
what's
like if you have symptoms, that should be the sign. If you're actually if you genuinely care about COVID, like if you have symptoms, then don't go around people. That's just normal for being sick, anyways, though.
Yeah, and what's the point?
You know?
Like, you take the test, so what does it do?
Yeah, I know. Like, what are we doing then? You take a test and you're positive. I guess you quarantine, or what they want you to. But
Right.
Could you imagine getting sick in the White House and it's like, I got a quarantine. Well, let me just go to the West Wing and
I
then
know.
have that whole wing to myself. When I got sick with COVID, I had to sleep in the laundry room on the ground
That's insane.
What?
because I was living. I was in one bedroom. We had 3 guys, and it was a 2-bedroom apartment, and then we had a laundry room. So I was stuck. I didn't want to get anybody else sick, so I had a big sweater. I tied the hood, and I laid on a cot on the floor in my laundry room for a week solid, and I was just out. And this was after getting a vaccination too. It sucked. It was terrible.
Yeah, well, now you brought it up. You're the one vaccinated person on this set.
I think I've said that before, but yeah.
Well, I didn't know. I didn't want to out you, but not that I'm on you. You just weren't political, right? You fell for what they said.
I wanted to stay in school.
Exactly.
It was senior year, so I was like, well, may as well.
Even more reason to resist, but you didn't know us back then, so we'll forgive you.
Razzle Dazzle says, I don't want those COVID symptoms again. Take ivermectin daily as a preventative measure to those nasty symptoms. But that's the other thing, too. It's like when people get COVID, it's like, what are the hospitals doing? Nothing. They're just like, oh, go quarantine, when they could be doing this and actually telling you supplements that you should take to boost your immune system.
Very
But
good point. Exactly.
They don't.
And not like ivermectin.
Instead, they give remdesivir, which is horrible for you.
By the way, I
Yeah.
see K-Wall and T-Wall joining the comment section. I really wish I got to see you guys at the state fair, but they sent me a picture right away. Was that your shift?
That was William, yeah.
William shift. Okay. I'm glad you got to see Straight Lace One. By the way, William took on a gig teaching, so he's shaping young minds, and he won't be on the show unless we do an evening show. So he's got to switch around his hours. But his fan base of 2 people, they'll be really sad about that.
Wow.
Jeez. I'll tell you what. Jesse by far the most popular at the booth, right?
Jesse, yeah, Jesse
A little
got
bit, for the people that watch the show, maybe a little bit more. I don't want to go.
No, that's
after
what I meant
William.
by the show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, a lot of people coming up telling us they watch the show. Really appreciate that. A lot of people I didn't know.
Yeah.
Billy says, Dawson, what the hell? There you go. All right. So your mask exemption card, that could be religious, could be
Yeah, and I even have one. I just pulled it out of my wallet, so
Nice.
everybody can go and get their own.
Can you zoom in
Where
on
do you
that,
actually
Dawson?
get that?
Yeah.
I don't even remember where I got it, but and on it says that under the Americans with Disabilities Act and HIPAA health privacy laws, the bearer is not required to disclose the details of their condition to anybody. And so basically, you can see there it says, that it is an exemption, and the bearer of card is exempt from all regulations mandating face mask usage in public, and the wearing of a face mask poses a health risk to them. They may not be forced to wear a face mask according to CDC exemptions for health reasons and according to U.S. law. So, everybody, you can find your own version of these kinds of things, but it's always useful to have. And, people have no idea how to react when they tell you to wear a face mask and you pull out one of these bad boys.
That is nice. K-Wall for Life gave us a Rumble rant of $20 and says, hey, I need an extra large shirt too, Jake. Sold out at the State Fair.
Right here. This is your XL right here, K-Wall. Does T-Wall want? Does T-Wall? Why can't I talk? T-Wall want one too? Let me know. And then, do we have his address so we can send him?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Jake at actionforliberty.com. Reach out to me. Give me your address. So we'll send you the shirts.
Tucker's
No doubt.
asking if Jesse got the stickers, if we got the stickers.
Yeah, Tucker came by the booth a second time and gave us a bunch of Trump stickers. So we couldn't give out Trump-specific stickers at the State Fair booth, or even stickers really at all. So I'm still hanging on to them. We'll probably give them out to people at the office and whatnot.
Is that the ones that were on my desk?
I don't. No. Those some separate ones. Yeah,
We
it's
got a lot of
like
different
mean
things, didn't we?
tweets 2024, all, stuff like that. So yeah, I appreciate that,
T-Wall has
Tucker.
a shirt.
Oh, T-Wall's got one. Okay, good.
Is there
I'll
a
send
reason?
one to you, K-Wall.
Is there a reason that you couldn't hand out stickers with Trump on them?
Yeah, because they have a no sticker policy, because then people place them on stuff and
Oh,
vandalize.
okay,
It's a good idea. I agree with that. That's why we do fans. You could do buttons too, but actually, can you do buttons these days? It could be a weapon.
Yeah.
I set aside some shirts because I think we're out of XLs. I think I got a couple XLs set aside, double XLs. We have smalls and mediums, I think, left.
Yeah, that's the majority of it.
Lots of shirts. That was pretty popular. All right, so number 2 in that kit is a small size dump buy-in shirt. Now, the reason I put that on here is we got to move some of these small dump buy-in shirts. They're so small. Honestly, when you get to be a bigger dude, it's just like, how does anyone fit in that thing? It's just so small. But
I'm gonna need
anyhow.
one of those, by the way.
What's that?
I'm gonna need a small one, by the way.
Okay, first of all, a couple questions here, Dawson.
Yep.
First of all,
Yep.
small because you want to accentuate the six-pack and your massive arms that you're building?
That's exactly right. Yes.
Okay. Second,
Yep.
would you wear a Dump Biden shirt?
Maybe.
Really?
Probably. I mean, people know that I don't like Biden. He's freaking old. That's my one political opinion that I am very solid on, is that I would like not to have geriatrics in my politics.
We need to make that shirt, don't we? By the way,
Actually, that would be a good shirt.
K-Wall,
Yeah.
on the money. I just got an alert. He already emailed.
Oh, dang.
Oh,
crazy.
wow.
Razzle Dazzle says her daughter would wear, I don't know if it's a guy or girl, but it says my daughter would wear that small shirt to her gym every week.
All right, Aaron, or Razzle Dazzle. I will. Let's figure out a way to get you a shirt. Okay, next one. Gadsden flag patch. You guys see this story? Jesse alerted me to it. Pull up this video about the Gadsden flag and why you need a patch on your kid's backpack.
More than 2 centuries, the flag has served as a symbol of American freedom and defiance to tyranny. And that is exactly why the symbol is under attack in America. Only submission is allowed, which brings me to Colorado Springs this past week. A school punished a 12-year-old boy, Jaden, for wearing a backpack with the Gadsden flag patched on it. He was removed from the class and told he could not return with it because he'd expose other children to it, all because of its origins with slavery. I'm not kidding. Watch closely.
The reason that they do not want the flag, the reason we do not want the flag displayed is due to its origins with slavery.
can't go. Stuck poop.
Oh,
Like,
Aw.
what a terrible place to add there. And that to be the ad. Jeez.
Back,
Yeah.
go back. It's got the patch on it because we can't have that in and around other kids.
It has nothing to do with slavery. That's like the Revolutionary War patch that was
Okay.
displayed when they were fighting the British.
Like I said, we're following district policy is what we're doing.
I mean, they just
would
ruined
like-
this whole segment for us. Honestly, they
Yeah.
ruined it.
I'll get YouTube Premium, I guess, on this account too.
I guess, yeah, maybe we do need
That would
that.
be ideal.
Anyhow, you get the point. The woke left. They hate the Gadsden flag, right? Now, the coiled
Right.
snake basically striking out against any tyrants that come for your liberty. That's the resemblance of a coiled snake. But, I mean, didn't you show me like some Democrat that was supporting it in Colorado?
Yeah. Jared Polis, the governor of Colorado, where that video was, released and everything. Who actually, some of the Republicans, like Justin Amash, used to say that he was one of the good Democrats in the House. I can't confirm that. I don't know if there is a good Democrat ever in the House, but some said that he had kind of a libertarian bend. But yeah, he made a statement saying that this was a mistake. The Gadsden flag is a good symbol. So that was nice to see that even a Democrat governor had a little bit of common sense there. And what I found interesting about the video was the school district employee, the teacher, whoever that was. She first said that it had to do with slavery, and then after that is disproven, she says, "Oh, I'm just following district policy." So she couldn't even keep a consistent argument going. And the only reason that this got stopped is because they were caught. If they weren't caught, they wouldn't have been able to. Then we wouldn't be able to know about any of this, and they would have been able to enforce it. So it's only because of the public outcry and attention that this has been resolved.
Yeah, that's a good point. Dawson, I'm going to be sending you. Brad just sent me a photo. I'm going to forward it to you so you can put it on the screen. He's got another good button to put on a backpack.
Okay.
Oops.
Tucker said he bought a Gadsden flag T-shirt at the fair.
Nice.
Right
I was
on.
surprised they had those.
Yeah, one of my favorite pictures I ever took is this one where I'm like in Alaska, and I got like my waders on. I'm fishing. I think I'm by a big old grizzly bear claw, or footprint, and then I got my coiled snake thing, and it's just like in Alaska, you just feel right at home there. That's
cool.
Alaska to a nut. Well, like same thing with Idaho too, right? You'd feel right at home doing.
Oh yeah.
that.
Here you go.
Bad Hat Harry says it's
There you go.
only
That's
because
Brad.
of the
Hold on. That's Brad Ganser's
Oh.
daughter. Jesus is my savior. Trump is
Wow.
my president. Isn't that funny?
That's cool. She actually has that on. Is that kind of stuff allowed at school though? Like anything political? Like that's what I mean. Like in general, aren't you supposed to have like nothing political
I
at
think
school?
he sends his kids to private school.
Yeah.
Brad, you tell us
And
this.
when I went to school,
Conversation.
I wore political shirts, and I never had a hard time with it. So
But now they would say that, right? Like technically no politics at school.
maybe some schools.
Do you guys support like a uniform typically for schools?
No.
Why not? Is there any reason why?
I like uniforms are easy.
Well, I mean, yeah, uniforms are communism. I mean, yeah, that's nobody needs to be uniform. It's my
What
opinion
about
that
all the
people can
military
dress the way they
uniforms?
want to.
What,
It-
what
Jesse.
Bridget?
What about like our military members?
Yeah, I mean that's
Communist.
different than a school uniform, but
School uniform is not communism. Does
You-
not equate to communism.
there's a little bit of a link.
I'll tell you, when I was in the military, so I was in the military 12 years, and I was never really comfortable wearing my uniform outside of the Army, right?
Oh yeah.
Even if I was with some other soldiers and I went like someplace, but if I was alone anywhere, I don't know what it was, but I feel like it was this individualism in me that thought, I'm not an individual now, I'm representing this like big thing. And that's kind of like why I push against uniforms. But once you're in the thing, the uniform's the greatest thing ever, because it's like you don't need to think, you know what you have to
Yeah.
wear, right?
That's that's kind of what I like about it.
I think that's nice.
Plus, then you just like don't have to deal with all those problems of like parents being like, "This is immodest" or clothing policies, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I like
Yeah, if I had a daughter, I would definitely be pro uniform, I think.
Bad Hat Harry says I wore a uniform in parochial school. It's a perfect idea. The majority of British schools have a uniform.
Well, I don't want to follow the British.
Yeah, no. What do we do? That's not a good argument. Following the Brits? Jeez. Brad says Catholic school is okay.
Yeah, I don't know what
I
that
assume
means.
he's sending his kids to Catholic school.
Oh, do
Yeah,
Catholic
I'm
schools
assuming
have
too.
uniforms? I would assume they do.
Yeah, most of them probably do.
All right, where was my notes? Next thing on here, healthy Oh, by the way, so speaking of politics in school, my let's see, my kindergartner last year, first grader this year, he says in his class, and I know his teachers' politics are not like ours. He says, "Daddy wants to dump walls" or something like that, and the teacher thankfully says, "Oh, well, we better not talk about that today," or something like that. Basically, yeah, it's not worth it. But it's just kind of funny, like my kindergartner kind of, because they knew my thoughts on Tim Walz. And it was election year too, by the way. That's why it was conversational. All right, so next one in the pack, a healthy snack. And here's the rationale in the healthy snack. This is what Jesse and I came up with. You know, you're getting a free lunch now, right? Kirsten reminded me this the other day. She's like, well, we actually get a little bit more of our surplus back because our kids' school lunches. Yeah, we don't have to pay for school lunches. Now, I'm against that. I'd rather just pay for the damn school lunches. But the Democrats now made all school lunches free, which, by the way, will probably happen indefinitely at this point, right? You're not going to see that being taken away. So you can only imagine first of all, the quality of school lunches right now is probably even going to go down further. I didn't know it could go down further. It's probably going to go down further. So in that kid's pack, make sure you pack something healthy, because I'm guessing they're not going to get a really healthy item at the school lunch. You know, when I was going to school, I had a buddy. He always got 2 hot lunches. And, you know, they like have well, this is what it was like in Onalaska, Wisconsin. They have like a rotating meal, like today's chicken nuggets and the mashed potatoes and gravy. And then every day, I think you could get a cheeseburger or a slice of pizza. It's the most disgusting, worst pizza on the planet. It's like this big rectangular thing. I'm thinking every school district has it. It's awful. And he would always get whatever was the new thing today and a slice of pizza and their awful fries. Every single day he got the same thing. And I can't, like, I would be gagging. I'm almost gagging right now thinking of that pizza. There's no way you miss that pizza, Bad Hat Harry. That's disgusting. There's no way. It is like not even close to good pizza. It's like the opposite end of Dave's Pizza in Bemidji, Minnesota, which makes the best pizza on the planet.
I don't know. I don't know if every high school had this, but my high school had a salad bar, which was like the best salad bar that I've ever been to this day, I think.
I am shocked. They actually had a salad. So what was in the salad bar?
This was Detroit Lakes High School. And the salad bar just had, you know, normal like iceberg lettuce, and then it had like the leafy greens where it's more spinach, whatever. And then they had all the toppings that you could imagine, like bacon bits.
But did they have like
they had eggs.
They had eggs.
hard-boiled
That's what I was gonna ask. You could
Because
have like a Cobb salad.
And so that's how I learned that if you put hard-boiled eggs on a salad, and for your dressing you have cottage cheese and ranch, and then mix it up with some pepper and put it on there. Oh, it's so good, and it's crazy high protein.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Razzle Dazzle has a comment about the uniforms that I actually really agree with. Where is it? My stupid thing.
Oh, he agrees with me on
Do you
Dave's
see? Can
Pizza.
you read it? I can't.
How did you?
I really liked the uniform policy when my children were in elementary age in private Catholic school. I think it may have helped behavior and their focus subconsciously. Yeah, I also saw Brad
I think that's true.
had another comment on there. It's not my number one issue. I'm just saying that
But-
if I have the choice, if I was going to school and I have the choice between uniform or no uniform, I'm going no uniform because I want to be able to express myself in the way that I dress.
What would you pick for your kids?
Just like I'm saying.
Hold on, it is your number one issue. Communism is your number one issue.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying it's all communism. I was just using that as an example because, you know, communism is all about, you know, the group mentality, getting everybody to think and dress and act the same way, and that's just not the way that I roll. But
right.
I don't have anything
It is
against
communism.
anybody
Oh my
who
God.
anybody who has their kids in a school that has uniforms. I don't have anything against you. It's okay.
But I do think there's something to be said that you act the way you dress. Like subconsciously, the way you dress affects the way you act.
Yeah.
That I think is very true. Like I think, like Rishi's saying, it like makes you more studious. I think there's actually something to be said for that. And I guarantee you could find studies because I've heard them, like heard people quote studies before
That makes sense.
on the way that you dress affects the way. Because I mean, even I notice it. If I'm dressed in like sweats and a t-shirt, you're just more like, okay, I'm in chill mode,
Yeah.
not like ready to get work done.
Or you come in your fall clothing today.
Yeah,
There you go. Right?
or that.
Or if you wear these nice dump Biden T-shirts. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm acting like I'm pushing these things. I don't even know how we get them out to people. They're one by one orders here. So, all right, let's go to my last one on the list. It is Michael Noll's book, Reasons to Vote for Democrats. Have you guys seen this book before? This is Michael Noll's. We couldn't find our copy that we had here, so we're gonna play a short video.
Reasons to Vote for Democrats. I mean, it was the best page turner I've ever read.
I have written my work not as an essay which is to win the applause of the moment, but as a possession for all time. So writes Thucydides, and so say I. I had been researching the topic my entire life. As you know, I have a very
All right,
long
stop right there.
bibliography in the book.
You know, that actually, I think, was on Amazon's bestseller list for a while, that book.
Yeah, I think a lot of people had bought it.
It's hilarious.
amazing.
300 pages, blank pages.
I think that I have that on my Kindle.
You do not.
Nuh-uh.
No, it's just funny to think about.
That's a good joke, though, because that would be so funny. Like, there's no reason.
Yeah.
Did they even have it on Kindle?
I don't know. I don't know if you'd be able to publish a book for Kindle with no text.
That's a
think it'd
good
be
joke,
funny.
though. Think about this. Like, someone literally buys a book thinking this is, like, a reason to show my kids why to vote for Democrat.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, the Kindle must not be working because they keep scrolling, right?
All you would have is the page number at the bottom. So
Well, what would be even worse is if there was an audio version.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, my gosh. All right, what are we missing in this toolkit? You guys let us know, too. If there's anything in the toolkit, we'll officially put it in. With the Rumble Rant, we'll officially put it into our toolkit for back to school. There you go. Rumble Rants get an official blessing and endorsement from us. That might be very dangerous to say that. Bridget, what are we missing?
Brad earlier said a crucifix, but I don't know if I would necessarily have that in the backpack. Maybe
I think the button would pretty much solve that issue, right?
yeah, like you could have like a picture of it, but maybe not an actual crucifix. I don't know.
But Bridget, I'm asking you personally. What
Personally,
do you
what would I have in there? First of all, my kids would not be in public school.
Really?
And so they would.
Well, imagine we're living in the world that Jesse fears, communism.
Okay.
Right? And they got to go to the public school with a uniform on.
Gosh, for me, it'd probably be like a kid's book on basic. Like obviously, I mean, to me, like my faith matters the most. It's Catholic faith, so I would probably have like a little like big break down the arguments of what kids are going to go after you for. Book for my kids, like in
Gotcha.
a kid's version.
We could have that gender explanation guide or genitalia guide. Remember that? That when we were talking about the transgenders and we.
the one that you made William uncomfortable.
Yes, that's actually the thing I'm gonna miss the most about not having William here during the day, is making him blush all the time on those things that he's so fearful of saying, like any swear word.
Or I would have a note from mom and dad saying that they can be. I don't even know if it's allowed anymore, but like exempt from. I don't need my kids in sex ed at such an early age. I don't think.
Yeah.
So I would throw that in there as well.
What age? I don't even know what age they should be in there, honestly.
To me, it's when they actually start. I would think as a parent, it'd be like when they start questioning, then you can have these conversations. When they when they start realizing, okay, there's, like I just want my kid to be able to be an innocent, happy kid while they're kids, and not have to worry about that stuff until it actually is something that they start to think about on their own. And as soon as they do, then of course you want to address it. But
K-Wall's pretty woke. I didn't realize he was this woke. A note from mom and dad saying they always love him, her.
Oh.
So
Gosh.
two genders, I guess.
that used to be okay. To do
Oh
that.
no, he means him and her. Oh, okay, now I get it. Just kidding.
Isn't that crazy that someone could actually mistake that nowadays?
Oh
Yeah.
no, it's so crazy. It's like I was watching this. You guys have probably all seen the video, but this comedian talking about how, because he's not from America, how we're making the English language harder with these pronouns.
Yeah.
And he invited a friend over for dinner, and the friend says, well, I want to bring some friends, or I want to bring a friend. And he goes, well, what's his name? Not him, they. So he bought too much food because he thought there was a bunch of people coming over. Funny little bit.
If I had to add anything to a backpack for a kid going to school, it would be a deck of cards.
For magic?
Yeah, not for
Tricks.
anything political, just for fun.
Yeah, but that's not the spirit of this
But-
show here.
But okay,
Dawson's spirit.
here's an anecdote from my school time. I was told that I wasn't allowed to bring cards because it was gambling.
Wow.
But
Wow.
I didn't know how to. I still don't know how to gamble. I was just showing magic tricks. I got yelled at in choir for it.
Tell us more, Dawson.
No, that's all you guys get.
Napkinator says fresh, clean water, non-fluorinated. That's good. I like that one.
What would Jesse add to a backpack for a kid?
Well,
MAGA
Jesse was
hat, I
part
don't
of
know.
this. Yeah,
A
Jesse
MAGA
was
hat.
part of the thing. But
MAGA hat?
obviously, he's not gonna have a uniform.
Yeah, no uniform.
Have you guys seen this talk? Okay, so we're talking about this like a slow news cycle, okay? And all of a sudden, for the last week and a half, the biggest issue in Minnesota politically are the SROs. We used to call them police liaison officers. Now they're school resource officers. Some cop inside of the police department in that locality has an embedded cop in schools, which, by the way, underreported in my opinion in the media, but like schools are getting to be very violent. And I'm not just talking about Minneapolis and St. Paul. The violence is spreading all over the place, okay? So there's a Democrat education omnibus bill passes, changes some language, okay? And all of a sudden, it's forcing police departments to take their SROs out of school. You guys have seen this, right? Or were you so much involved in the fair?
Yeah, I hadn't seen any of it
I
really.
haven't seen anything, yeah.
Well, this is what the big talk is lately. I'm dead serious.
Yeah, I've heard it. I know.
And so I remember I'm just like, I'm going and looking at this. I'm like, what's the issue? Because basically the bill is saying that you can't put kids in chokeholds or can't put your knee on kids and stuff like that. Not that I knew that was even a problem with police officers in schools. I don't even know if there was a problem. But that's what the woke Democrats did. So all side red side, red team is pushing against, say we got to stand up for law enforcement, right? And the Democrats are standing by their bill. So we got this big friction, and the right is calling on Governor Walz to call a special session to fix these issues. Here's the deal. What's the issue? And I'd love to hear your guys' opinion at home if you got an answer to this one. But this is, I mean, honestly, it's not the issue that I thought was the most important of the
Yeah,
day,
the only
right?
example I can think of was like 7-8 years ago where there was like one video where, a resource officer at a school maybe used a little excessive force, but it wasn't even that big of a deal. And that's the only time I've ever even heard of this being an issue. So it's crazy that it's blowing up like it is.
CBS says Governor Walz may call special session over SRO's controversy as first day of school looms, which obviously we're now here on the first day of school. Most of Minnesota, I think everyone's in school at this point. When students go back to class Tuesday, some schools will be without their school resource officers. Some police departments are pulling officers over a new law that restricts what holds an officer can use on violent students. And then just hyperlinks to this story. And then when you look at it, the portion of the law itself limits district employees, including SROs, from placing students into certain holds. Those include putting a student face down on the ground or putting weight on their head, throat, neck, or chest, thereby making it so they can't breathe. And then this is quoting Blaine Chief Brian Podany, I don't know how you pronounce his name. How can we expect our staff to go to the school and work there every day when they're constantly worried about being sued instead of just focusing on their job and developing relationships? The law also limits the use of reasonable force unless students are posing a risk of bodily harm to themselves or someone else. Okay, so this is where I'm at. Like when I see this stuff, I'm like, yeah, police shouldn't be able to do that unless there's bodily harm, right? And I think they're already covered. And certainly the Attorney General's office. This is one of those cases where it's like, I almost feel like we're not having an honest conversation anymore. So, my propensity is to assume the Democrats are wrong. But what's interesting, this is why you watch this show, I don't just assume the Republicans are right, Because if I'm Sean Hannity, let's just rip on the Democrats and not talk about the Republicans' fallacies here. So let's go. No, this is interesting. I'm open-minded on this issue. I honestly want to know about it, right? This wasn't the most pressing issue of the world a week and a half ago, okay? Just be honest. And most of us didn't know about this, and it's leading some headlines. So I want to find out. We go to the Republicans who hold a special press conference I think it was Wednesday. Was that August 30th? Wednesday, August 30th. They have a press conference with some police officers, including this Blaine police chief. Okay? Listen to this honestly good question. It's the first question of the press conference once they're done talking. And this is, you're seeing Zach Duckworth. He's a state senator from, what is that? Apple Valley? No, Lakeville.
Yeah, Lakeville.
Okay? So this is Zach Duckworth. To his left, or to his right, your left on screen, is what's her name? Lisa Demuth, who's the House Minority Leader. Spencer Igo behind him. Brian Johnson behind him, who was a law enforcement officer. I can't think of the guy who's on the right side of our screen. Anyhow, this is Zach answering a question from the media. A very obviously good question here, and listen how he responds to it.
Mm-hmm.
We're open for any questions that y'all might have.
It seems like the main concern here is ambiguity with this law. Are you able to point to a specific line or portion, one or two lines that you're concerned about and that police officers are concerned about as it pertains to what's written in this law, where you say, this is what we have issue with right here?
Sure, I'll take a stab at it first, and I'll invite anybody from the law enforcement community to come forward and cite anything that they have a specific concern with. And what I would invite you to do is go back to the hearing that was set
Stop
up by
right
the
there.
Education
Stop right
Policy
there. See,
Committee
I can already
back in
tell.
February.
I can already tell he doesn't know the answer to the question.
Yep, dodging the question.
Yeah, like just his setup there, like not addressing it head on. I would invite, and then I'll tell you, like you could tell he doesn't know the answer to this question, but it's not just him. Just watch this.
Where during that committee, I cited the very specific lines in this bill I thought were going to be an issue. When I recommended to the bill author, when I recommended to the Minnesota Department of Education, when I recommended to the folks representing the governor's bill, that they needed to dive deeper into the language and have conversations with law enforcement and school officials to prevent the very situation we're experiencing now. Now, I'm not here to cast blame. I'm more interested in helping to fix this, but this was not a surprise. This issue was raised back in February. It's public record. If you go back and look at that video, you will hear me cite the very specific lines in which I raised concern.
Now?
Why didn't you hold this press conference then?
I don't feel like you answered the question.
Sure.
Can you answer the question now, or do we have to go back to February to hear the answer of what are the one or two specific lines that you're taking issue with?
I don't have the lines in front of me currently. If you look at the bill that's drafted, it references those lines and would repeal them and come about with the fix.
Could anyone answer the question as to what is the one or two specific lines that people are taking issue with as far as the law is right now?
Hi, Brian Padani again.
Okay, now stop right there. You got, I don't know, what, half dozen more Republican legislators on stage? They called for this press conference.
Yeah.
Solving the issue the Democrats screwed up on, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not here to say that the Democrats didn't screw up on this one. It's kind of like, why is this all of a sudden an issue, especially with rising violence? But they hold this press conference about the issues with the Democrats' bill. They didn't even know. They don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
How do they not know what this is?
Right.
Like
That wasn't a gotcha question.
It wasn't
that was a very
realistically good question.
yeah, exactly. That was like the standard question that you would expect from the press, asking what specifically are you talking about? It's crazy that none of them have an answer. None of the legislators have an answer.
Okay, so let's listen to what the Blaine police chief has to say, because at least he steps up to the plate.
Yeah.
He seems to understand the legislation better than legislators. You know, far be it for us to ask when you ask a legislator when you have a press conference about the problems of legislation. You might know what the legislation says.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, why would they? Because it's tucked into a 200-page omnibus bill, which they'll blame on the Democrats, and they do the same damn thing when they're in charge. Go ahead.
Again, I don't have the actual bill in front of me, but some of the primary concerns, certainly from law enforcement standpoint, removing the provision of or when we're talking about using any type of force at all. Okay, where now to use force, certainly we don't want to use force. Let's agree on that. Okay, but it took the statute to first of all, it applied it to school resource officers who are governed as peace officers. We are governed by a completely separate set of rules in regards to use of force under 60906. But by taking that out and saying the only time force is acceptable is when there is a threat of bodily harm or death. Okay, there's a lot of situations that come up where the threat of bodily harm or death may not be immediate, but they are an escalating situation. Some examples of that may be, let's say there's a student who's been expelled who's trespassing, or at a football game. We may have 3, 4, 5, 6 officers working at a football game. We have students that are being disorderly, maybe throwing bottles out on the field, causing a ruckus. Generally, what we will try to do is get them to leave or trespass them from the school property. We cannot do that physically. We actually would have to call officers in off the street who are governed by other rules in this statute to manage that situation then. So the cops are calling the cops. It's just, so.
Would that not raise to the level
Well,
of
not,
physical
maybe
harm?
not at people, throwing a bottle on the field, not in the direction of people, just being drunk and disorderly. We have students who are drunk and disorderly at football games all the time that we have to remove, and that's just one example. Another example may be when you, as a school resource officer or a staff member, walking down the hall and there's two kids standing there talking. That starts to escalate, start arguing, okay? Eventually a group starts gathering around. Everybody's chanting, fight, fight. People are taking out their cell phones. Eventually, maybe they start pushing. Eventually, it comes to throwing punches, whatever that may be. At what point are we saying in that confrontation, we now have a threat? Is it when they're standing there talking? Is it when they start to argue? Is it when people are standing chanting fight, fight? Or is it when they actually start pushing and throwing punches? You somehow have to make that delineation. You don't want to go too early. You know, the way it was before, staff members or school resource officers would interject themselves, push through the crowd, say, all right, knock it off, it's time to, we're gonna take this down to the office, okay? You can't physically intervene now until it's potentially too late. And if you don't intervene soon enough as a police officer, you could be liable. But if you intervene too soon, you could be liable under this statute. It creates a no-win
Okay, let's
situation.
go. Let's pause there. Go back to the beginning of this video. Someone was asking, is Novotny there? Let's see who is at this press conference. By the way, you guys see this. I mean, like, does that clarify it for you? It doesn't seem very obvious here. Let's see. Kristen Robbins.
That's Niska.
Niska's in there. I don't see Novotny, but it might just not be on the screen because you would think he is. He was a from law enforcement. Of course, the session's not in, or the legislature's not in session, so maybe that, you know, they had something competing that day.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, does this help? Let's go to the comment section here. Please
Hate
enlighten me if
Minnesota.
I'm missing something here.
Hate MN says, is everyone on here aware that the U.S. Education Secretary Miguel Cardona is making 3 bus stops here in Minnesota this week? Stops will be in Rochester, Rosemont, and St. Paul. Angie Craig and Betty McCollum are will be accompanying.
Yeah, I am aware of that. I saw that.
Okay, and then Skooma Legend says, are the woke left pushing law enforcement out to encourage gun violence so the left can go full gun grabber? Capitalize on a tragedy using apathy to get majority support from society. Tinfoil hat.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see it that way. I can't imagine they're that sinister that they would do something like that.
That would be pretty sinister.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, yeah. I'm just puzzled because, you know, it's like, why don't you have a press conference? Why don't you clarify this thing? This is literally after you get past the song and dance, you know, the canned talking points by the speakers, then you get to the first question, and they can't answer the first question. I don't even think the Blaine police chief, who apparently Bad Hat Harry went to school with,
Oh, yeah.
I don't even think he made sense of it. It's like, I don't think people are arguing that school resource officers should be quick to taking kids into restraints, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is there something? I'm going to come back in this issue on Thursday. We'll look into it a little bit more. I was trying to avoid talking about this. Certainly last week, trying to avoid talking about it because it's just kind of one of those puzzling things. And then I saw that press conference, and we were close to talking about it on Thursday, but we had other things to get to. I was just like, this is not helpful. This isn't helpful at all. You're supposed to be telling us what the issue is, and you can't even articulate it.
Brad's asking who voted for this, and I'm actually wondering the same thing. Did everybody vote for this in an omnibus bill? Like even Republicans, and now they're like, crap, we did something wrong. We should.
Yeah, I think it was the education policy bill. Maybe I can do some digging and
trying to
see
look
if
this
I
So
up
the
on the
Republicans
fly here.
probably didn't realize much about.
Well,
how did it get brought up?
Well, but that's the
my
problem
question.
with the omnibus bills. That's why you should vote against them, right?
Yeah, but who like all of a sudden is making or realized this was an issue or been bringing it up? That's my question.
Well, according to Zach Duckworth, he brought it up in committee. Now it'd be really interesting to see if you voted for it. Why can I not find the education omnibus bill here? Do you know who?
I'm still digging myself here.
What's the? It's on our scorecard sheet. Do you know what the bill number is?
I'll check in one moment.
Give me the bill number when you find it there, Jesse. A valid question. I wouldn't be shocked that a lot of them voted for it. But, you know, here's the thing about running scorecards. Like the scorecards that we run, we do them blindly, okay? First of all, we look at the bills, gamut of bills, the ones that do the most damage. That's why, if people wonder why, like, groups like American Conservatives Union, right, conservatives, they run the CPAC. why they come in and score all the legislators like with A's, the Republicans with A's, and we give them like D's and F's. It's because they literally don't score omnibus bills, the things that grow government.
crazy.
So dishonest, right? And we score omnibus bills because those are the most damaging things. So plus they're unconstitutional. So you know, when Democrats are in the majority, Republicans in the minority, you see a boost in their scores because they're just against it. Their vote doesn't matter. But then when they're in the majority and they actually could vote the right way, they don't. The vast majority of these Republicans. That's why we call them Rhinos, because they vote like Democrats. So it's kind of hard to score. Just use a scorecard to understand the whole mapping of the legislature. That's why we usually call out the fraudulent conservatives, the people that like went from a 20% the year before, and then all of a sudden they're getting 80%. Like there's some heroes, like they've seen the light. I've seen the light. No, they don't see the light.
Yeah, well, so if we're talking, if this for sure is in the Omnibus Education Policy Bill, which is HF 1126, in the House it was a vote of 120 to 8. So the 8 people who voted against it was Aldendorf, Fogelman.
Hold on a second. You said HF 1126?
Right.
That's a post-secondary student financial aid. Are you sure about that?
Let's see here.
Why is there 2 HF 1126s on my thing? Yeah, it's not coming up.
Oh, yeah, maybe not that. Yeah.
I don't know why I can't find this on the fly right now.
Yeah, same here.
Like I was just looking up education omnibus bill. Who is the House? That's probably the easier way. The person. Oh, you know what? Education policy. Let's do it by this.
Where's William?
Yeah, there's also HF
William
2497.
William's not the guy. Jesse's our guy.
Yeah, HF 2497 is the Omnibus K through 12 education
That's
budget.
it.
Okay.
2497.
Yeah, HF 2497. Let's see what's going on there.
Oh, our fan Cheryl Yoakum is the person behind that. Okay, so
yeah,
and then all right, fifth engrossment. Let's look up. I'm just gonna look up SRO in here because I think they were using that same terminology. What if there's a? Bet there's a. Dot. Nope. Student resource.
God, Harry says I'm looking at my monitor, looking at people looking at their monitors.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is
just save it for
bad TV. He got us on that one. Busted. Yeah, I just did an SRO search here, but I wonder if I could find force because this is the education omnibus bill. And this is the problem because look, this is long. This is ridiculous. It's
Brad
like
has a
200
good point.
pages.
He says if it's this hard to find a vote, maybe that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
Well, I want to make sure before we make any accusation, because then we'll read you guys who voted for it. Before we make that accusation, that it's literally it. I'm not finding SRO, but the problem with the SRO is every time there's a classroom in here, it's finding SRO, right?
Razzle Dazzles wants us to have either Paul Novotny or Niska on here to explain it. But I don't think either of them would accept.
Well, what's
Niska
might.
Niska sometimes does
Niska
some
might.
good stuff. I like, he occasionally brings some good fights to the floor, so I like that.
Well, honestly, where were they though when it came to? Okay, let's see. Is this the policy must exclude the following? Let's see. Force. Direct may you. Okay, this is provision that states that a teacher, school employee, school bus driver, other agent of district may use reasonable force. That's not it. Ugh. And there's forces like 45 lines in it. But see, like, we got to do all this work for an issue that we're being told is big, and then you watch their press conference and I mean, no.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do this. Let's dig into this a little bit more. We'll do an article and then we'll bring this back up on Thursday. But if it is from this bill, which I would imagine so because it's the education omnibus bill, the final vote in the House was 70 to 62. That's what I'm looking at. That's on May 16th. And so that would be a strict partisan vote. Okay.
Yep. That's what I'm seeing too. 70 to 62.
And then in the Senate's 35 to 32. which means Jim Abler probably voted for it.
Yeah, that's what I'd imagine too.
I'm going to just check right now if I got that right. Here we go. 35 to 32. No, Abler voted against it. Wait a second. Yeah, there's a Republican who voted for it. Any other guesses?
Duckworth?
No, not Duckworth. That would be hilarious.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It'd be hilarious if it was him.
The not patriot Carla Nelson. There you go.
Nelson was here
That's
earlier
why
in
we
comments.
call her in the comment section the patriot Carla Nelson, because Carla Nelson, the senator, voted for it. Now, that's just the bill. First of all, I'm going to tell you the bill 2497 wasn't good, right? She's the only Republican that voted for that bill, right? It's an omnibus bill. I think that's the bill, but I'm not 100% certain. But it is interesting. She's the only Republican in the state legislature to vote for it. There you go. Carla Nelson, 35 to 32. This is 34 Democrats, 33 Republicans. Shocker. I'm shocked. That's why we call you the Patriot, Carla Nelson, who was working at our booth. She was awesome. All right. What other story? Oh, we got to do a state fair recap. That's a great segue into our state fair recap. Well, actually, let's go to comments before we move on. What do we got here?
Razzle Dazzle says, we know that this is part of the problem, referring to how hard it is to find the bill. He said that should be a fully researched segment for Thursday's show, including a key rep as a guest. So we'll see.
Okay, I like that. I'm not a big fan of bringing on state reps unless we really have to, because quite frankly, they pontificate a lot, and I can't hold back. If I see a politician's line, I'm going to push at them. Okay, I really would like to bring on state reps to actually, argue with. That's good entertainment.
That'd be cool.
To get on our list of like good people, you got to put some work into it, and I'm not really a fan of most of these legislators, honestly. I think a lot of them voted and say good things on the floor, but they're in the minority. It's easy to do, okay? So I don't want to prop up bad politicians, because it's going to come back and bite us in the ass when they get in the majority someday. So that's just my thinking. If I did a show just to prop up freaking bad politicians, I'm out of this game. I'm not doing it, right? That's not what this show is about. And just because they got a Republican behind their name. So if I bring a politician on the show, it's most likely I think they're doing a good job on something, right? Or maybe they do some bad things, but they're like mostly good, right? And I'd give them airtime. Or I brought them on for the entertainment of us arguing against them. Now, we've asked for a lot of left-wingers like Lee Finke to come on the show. They're too afraid. They're too chicken shit. They don't want to give us a platform, which we already have a platform, by the way, right? We have a platform. So
Bad Hat Harry says they don't tell the truth because the truth hurts.
There you go. Right on. Exactly.
And K-Wall says he wouldn't listen if that was the case, Jake. The truth doesn't just hurt. It matters.
It matters, exactly.
Yeah.
And so, honestly, I don't... Like, we used to do the Tea Party events, right? Brad probably remembers this back then. So we used to do Tea Party events, and we'd bring politicians to stage. If you want to know what killed the Tea Party, it was Republicans. It was not the Democrats that killed the Tea Party. The Tea Party was killed by Republicans, because the Republicans then go and get stage time. They get this microphone, and they keep giving excuses and reasons why they can't fight against the Democrats. And they co-opt all these patriots who want to do something about the problem into just voting for their needs, which is vote Republican, right? This is like what I call the big con in politics. It's that you go to a politician, say, here's the problem, you need to solve it. And the politician goes, yeah, but the Democrats are the bad ones, and we can't do this unless we get rid of the Democrats. And you go, oh, yeah, that's a good point. And so I need you to donate to my campaign, or I need you to go put up a sign in your yard. You're like, okay. It's like, did you see the con that just happened there? You went to them about fixing a problem, and they got you now doing their objective, getting them reelected. That's the big con in politics. And it works so well because we all fall for this lesser two evils problem, right? It's one. This guy is not as bad as the other guy. It's like why South Park is so perfect. It's a, what is it? Is it a douche bag and a turd sandwich? What is the two?
Yeah, something like that.
Turd sandwich
right.
and something. Big douche, I think. It's like those are your two options, right? And it kind of is in many ways when it comes to politics. So yeah, I'm just out. Like, that's not the show. We're not going to do just politician bring him here, and then they sound good on one issue, and maybe they legitimately are good on an issue, and then you prop them up, and guess what? They're going to just sell you out down the future. So I've seen it. I've seen it too much. Oh yeah, I was talking about the Tea Party. So this is what happened. We'd invite these politicians to come to our Tea Party, and we gave them a microphone. Giant douche and turd sandwich. That's right, Tucker. That's it. And that's options usually. Yep. So we'd give these politicians a microphone. You cannot reward a politician more than giving them a microphone. It's like better than money. Give them a microphone, because then they can use their persuasive skills, because that's what politicians are good at. They're persuasive, right? They win popularity contests. And I was sick of it, because they come and they talk and there's never any action. And so I'm just not in that game. Sorry. That was my rant for the day. I just can't stand these lying politicians. And I see it from a mile away too. So if they come on this set, I am going to stick it to them. So, but I mean, we'll make exceptions here because there's newsworthy things. Like that was a big question we had Scott Jensen on in February, because there's a lot of things to go after Scott Jensen on. But at that point, the bigger issue was the Attorney General was literally taking his medical license degree away. It's like, that's a big issue. We got to talk about that. And
Frazzle Dazzle says that's Emmer by definition.
That is Emmer by definition.
So
yeah,
true.
Emmer's welcome in that seat. We'll talk about why we have no impeachments against Joe Biden yet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's my rant for the day. State Fair recap.
Yep.
Can you go on a rant about the State Fair?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a good time. We were meeting with tons of people every single day. We were obviously busy almost the entire time. And, a lot of people obviously don't like Joe Biden. And we were seeing all kinds of people that you would never expect to come up to a booth like ours, We had a group of these 4 young Muslim girls that were all, dressed in burqas saying, "We love Trump, we love MAGA." And so we had all kinds of people, and I'm seeing it with young people. I'm seeing it with black people. I'm seeing it with all kinds of people, that people are fed up with Joe Biden. They're not buying the lies anymore. They see that Joe Biden's incompetent. They see that he can't do his job, and that we need to dump Biden. So our message and our, the goal of the booth and everything, it was all a complete success. We were getting a lot of people engaged, and, a lot of people were just so happy, because some people say, "Wow, I can't believe you guys are pulling this off in Minnesota." In a good way, they were saying, "I can't believe you guys are doing this. It's so cool to see." And I really appreciate hearing that, because so many people, they're just looking for somebody to fight for them. And that's what our goal was. That's what we were doing at the State Fair, just providing a voice for the voiceless here in our country.
Dawson, will you pull up the video that you produced and then just go right to the one-on-ones, Jesse on the street? Can you do that?
Yeah, give me just a minute.
Yeah, no problem. So, Jesse, I didn't do the fair as long as, Bridget, you were there 3 days.
Just 3, yeah.
Yep. Well, just 3 days. That's a lot.
Well, I guess not compared to
That's
last
a quarter
year.
of the State
Not to
Fair.
last year.
Don't sell yourself short.
Yeah.
By the way,
3.
fan favorite, Bridget.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mega, Jesse, and William were working the 2 shifts. Did a great job. Very good job, by the way, Jesse.
Thank you.
And volunteers. By the Lisa and Steve, honestly.
Oh, yeah. They're rock stars.
Jeez.
Yeah, they are.
I don't honestly know what we would have done with them. Because we had a problem the first day of the fair. We realized we underestimated volunteer support. Like, we needed more people. We could have used more people, but at the end of the day, it does end up costing, because we try to give everyone a shirt and a ticket. And the tickets at the fair are like $18 these days. So we like to do that. And then waters and whatever else. So anyhow, Lisa and Steve, you know who you are. Thank you so much. And Pam, Edie, Brad came in big. Brad Gansworth, that was awesome.
Yep.
Tucker was there. Glenn was there.
Mm-hmm.
The Patriot, Carla Nelson. I'm forgetting so many people. I'm gonna have a list of all the volunteers. Actually, you know what? What am I talking about? I got a list right here. All these people that put in like the work. That was, I mean, it means the world to us, because like literally we couldn't do it without you. Mark, I'm just going by Thursday. Mark, Steve, Pam, Tom, James, Warren Wessel Realty, love it. Jim, Lee, Mike, and then Dan Kalush, Justina, D, Lulu, Tracy. I wish I was there for Nurse Tracy. Did you work with Nurse Tracy on Saturday?
I'm not sure. I think she might have been in the morning.
That's awesome. Roxanne, Erlon.
Yeah, Erlon.
Shift. Denise. Okay, I can't thank you guys enough. I'm going to put on her email too, all the people that helped.
Chrissy Hansen. Yeah, there's a bunch of people.
Yeah, Christine. Yeah, Chrissy works with Carla Nelson. That's how we know Carla. Fletcher was helping out. Rachel. Who were you telling me earlier about that did a good job with that one lefty?
Oh, that was Pat.
Pat, yeah.
Pat
Thank you
was
for doing
awesome.
it.
Yeah, and Dan Kalush as well. You mentioned Dan, but yeah, Dan helped out twice, and he was also just a solid rock star.
Yep. Kathy, Kathleen, Jeff, Blake, Patrick, Julie, Melissa, Linda, David. I'm sorry if I'm not catching it. Bill Quasney. Bill came over from Wisconsin. That's awesome. Keith, Julie, Lori, Beth, Monty, Tina, Maggie. Thank you, Maggie. First time doing anything politics in Minnesota. Nancy's husband. That's what it says on my list. Nancy's husband. Thanks, Nancy's husband. Bill, Sean, Gretchen. poor Nancy's husband doesn't even get his name on here.
Yep.
Mandy, Bradley, Julie. Okay, I'm gonna
Blake,
stop here.
yeah.
Lots of
Tons
people.
of people.
Thank you so much for all the help. Okay, so where was I going with that? The lefties. I want to show you this because I want you to recap on it. If you guys haven't seen this, we got it on Rumble and YouTube. This is a recap of the state fair. Dustin did a good job, but we did a little man on the street. And Jesse's just asking people's thoughts on politics. Oh, there's Christy in the background.
Yep.
All right, go ahead.
Joe Biden here.
Hold on, stop. And the Patriot Carla Nelson in the background, too. Isn't that great?
Yep.
Can I start now?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. I think he is an idiot. He's too old, and he needs to get out of office. Has no idea what he's doing. I don't think any president recently honestly has, though.
I think he's a smelly old man.
Yup, do you think he's got dementia?
Maybe.
Cockers. Yeah, he can go himself.
I think he's getting old.
Yup, do you think he's committed some impeachable actions? Do you think he's violated our constitutional rights?
Well, that I'm not certain because I'm not a lawyer, but I know he's done a lot of goofy things.
Do you think he's committed unconstitutional actions?
This is it right here.
Impeached?
Absolutely not.
And so who would you like to see for president in 2024?
Watch Jesse's face.
Kamala Harris.
I'm gonna have to go with Trump, honestly.
Trump. No, I like Trump's policies, but I don't like his conduct. So if I can get policy without conduct, I'll take Trump.
Well, you hear that one all the time, don't you?
Trump policy and DeSantis without the conduct. Well, I haven't quite decided yet, but I'm leaning towards that gentleman. What's his name? Ramaswamy?
Ramaswamy, Vivek Ramaswamy.
Mr. Donald J. Trump.
Alrighty, I like to hear it. Thanks, man.
Or as you call him, Vivek Ramaswamy, right? That's your name for him. That liberal. Okay,
Yeah,
and
and
that was
Heidi
great.
was also in the background of that video. We can't forget to mention her too. So
Did I don't even think I mentioned her on the thing. Yeah, too many people. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. So that one lefty, and you guys would encounter lefties probably every hour, right? I saw a few, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it'd be basically once an hour, maybe two an hour, would come up and yell, "You guys are fascists," and everything else like that. So it was always almost the same exact lines of attack. So by the end of it, we were all ready to go, prepared for every single one of them.
So
even just in my time there, I got called a fascist pig. I was just pointing at
Dawson's
camera.
not used to this.
Carla says there were several of those lefties. Not the majority, though. That's the thing. It's
Yeah,
like
definitely
the
not.
vast majority of people love it. Now, here's my... You tell me if I'm correct on this. You guys spent more time at the fair. But this is my assumption. There was a perception we were the Trump booth. Okay? We're not the Trump booth, right? I mean, Jesse's obviously probably makes it the Trump booth himself. But we're not the Trump booth. We're here because Biden has really committed impeachable offenses. I did not see a lot of people going, go Joe Biden. Even that woman is like, I'd rather have Kamala Harris over Joe Biden, which is really interesting. But that's how bad Joe Biden is. So really, I think the hatred towards the booth was the perception that we're the Trump, right? Is that fair? Like, it's not that.
Or that we were just conservative or Republican or whatever it was. Like, people thought we were everything but just a 501c4 that is there to speak our mind. Like, someone will walk by and they're like, oh, there's the Libertarian booth. Yeah, go Liberty. I'm like, no, we're not the Libertarian booth. But
the funniest one, there was a couple of Biden supporters, like a couple, real hardline Biden people. And there was one lady.
So they did exist.
There was a couple, but not very many. But one lady, she was saying, he's going to win. He's going to win. And a guy who, just a supporter who came up to the booth said, is he mentally competent? This lady refused to answer the question. She just said, he's going to win. And I couldn't stop laughing at her because I couldn't believe that. First, she wouldn't admit that, he's not mentally competent. She wouldn't even lie and say that he was. And it didn't matter if he was mentally competent. It was all about winning in her mind. So I thought it was just utterly ridiculous. But that's the mindset of a lot of them. It's just anti-Republican, anti-Trump.
Okay, but I'm not certain that is a Joe Biden fan. I think they're just like, I hate Trump so much, he's going to win.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, did anyone?
There was a couple
booth?
that said he's the best president ever, but they were probably just messing with us because there's no way they actually think.
Okay,
that.
but did anyone? Okay, so yeah, I don't think anyone believes that. I mean, certainly, if you're in a Biden person, whatever the hell that means, you still probably think Obama was better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did anyone come up and say, "I think Biden's doing a great job"?
Oh yeah, there's a few.
Okay,
yeah.
so
the
did
Inflation
exist.
Reduction Act. They would
to
list
fight
out
climate
things like
change?
that.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you talking about? That was a success. What?
Right.
But these Democrats, most of them are just being fed propaganda from the mainstream media, and that's what the lines they were repeating to us were.
See, that would have been a really good interview to get the people that actually think Joe Biden's doing a great job. Because that, from my estimation of the fair, not a lot of people are standing up for Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm.
So we were pretty popular in that regard. One last thing I want to talk about. Ruth Richardson, representative from Eagan, Mendota Heights, announced via Twitter on Friday evening, because that's what you do in politics. Anything that you want on the top of the news cycle. We might have been the first to write about this, actually, on Friday night. She resigned from office immediately, effective immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Pull up the Lee Finke tweet here, Dawson.
Yeah.
We get all our news from Lee Finke. Him.
Mm-hmm.
He, him.
Right. Yeah.
Did you say someone came up to the booth and they were like, "You're the leader. Jake Duesenberg doesn't call him."
Yeah, and they called you Doofelberg.
Oh, yeah.
Doofelberg?
Yeah.
I've never heard that one.
No,
by the way.
it
That's
was just
interesting.
sad. You could see it was a kid that was propagandized, and this 10, 11, 12-year-old, whatever she was, and they had this dad that was a teacher, and the dad was trying to argue with us. And the reason I didn't get too deep into it with them was because it's an inappropriate subject for a child.
Yeah.
There's no way to talk about it professionally. Some of it is just like you can't talk about it with children. And luckily we had a volunteer, Pat, who was handled the situation perfectly. But yeah, it's just one of those things that I was kind of at a loss, just because I don't want to say inappropriate things to this child, but sometimes. But obviously, the father had no problem pushing this kind of crap on his kid.
Well, I guess I appreciate him watching our show, because how else would he assume that I don't call Finke by the right pronouns?
Right.
All right. Lee Finke, which is a dude, says, "Grateful for all you taught me." Oh, this is a response to Ruth Richardson.
Yep.
"Grateful for all you taught me. Proud to have fought alongside you this past year." And so Ruth Richardson on September 1st, and this is like 6-something o'clock at night, has been an honor of a lifetime to have been elected 3 times to serve the people of Minnesota House District 52B. Legislative services for a season, and my season of service is ending effective immediately. I'm filled with gratitude for my family, community, and colleagues.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we have an explanation at this point why effective immediately.
Right. Yeah, I checked the Twitter. No further explanation on it. I mean, the biggest thing is that Ruth Richardson is going to be working with Planned Parenthood. So, Dawson, if you want to pull up that second link that we got there. So
I thought she already
News
was.
27 says she's the head of Midwest Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And
But I thought she was already prior.
Right, exactly. Yeah, she was a lobbyist legislator, just like Kurt
this is a
Dowd and
whole
others.
year ago. Yeah, look, September 7th, 2022.
Yep. So that's when this was originally happening. And a lot of people say, well, how can that even be? How can somebody be both a legislator making these laws and also be working for a lobbying organization, Planned Parenthood? And Planned Parenthood, they're also doing all kinds of hormone stuff with the transgenders. So Planned Parenthood is getting in all kinds of crazy business. But yeah, Ruth Richardson, it doesn't make any sense how somebody could be, it's such a conflict of interest. That's the most obvious thing. How can you be doing those two things at once? Maybe Richardson was going to be facing some kind of campaign finance complaint, something, I don't know. But or
no,
maybe
they only
it's
come
money.
after
Who
groups
knows?
like us, Jesse.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like there's a real conflict of interest. You fund. Well, Planned Parenthood also gets in campaign finance, but they vote on bills that fund Planned Parenthood. She votes on them.
Right, and she was the one who introduced it. Ruth Richardson was the one who was introducing a lot of these abortion bills anyway. So Richardson was on the floor speaking on behalf of them, and obviously she was just being fed these talking points from Planned Parenthood and others. And so, Dawson, go ahead and pull up that third link there, which shows kind of some of the electoral history here of Ruth Richardson, because now that Richardson is out, that means that a special session could come up. So go ahead and scroll down a little bit there, Dawson. A little bit more. Keep going. Keep going. All right, so that's the most recent election, which wasn't as close as some of the previous ones before that, so keep scrolling.
Of course, it changed with redistricting.
And so, as you can see in that one there, I can't see the numbers that well. Dawson, can you
It's
read
like
that?
55 to 45.
Right.
Basically.
So,
10 point.
Yeah, 10-point difference. So, this is a district that, may be open to a Republican and go
But
and
how
scroll
much
down
has it
a little bit
changed?
lower.
Here's the thing: is how much has it changed?
Right,
'Cause-
with the redistricting,
yeah.
it seems to have definitely benefited the Democrats. but-
Egan used to be a Republican district. I see
Right.
Tom wrote on here. Ruth is my rep. She's a real scumbag, head of Midwest Planned Parenthood.
Mhm.
Tom's part of the Egan Mafia, as we call them, the conservatives in Egan.
Yep. Well, yeah, and then so also, it just goes and the first election that Richardson had, the previous election before the one that we just saw there, that was a very close election where a Republican almost won. So those kinds of things maybe can happen, and this is going to cause a special election eventually sometime. So Dawson, go ahead and pull up that next link there, which is actually just the statute of what goes on in Minnesota in this type of situation. So it's subdivision 4 there. Writ when vacancy results from election contest. If a vacancy results from a successful election contest, the governor shall issue 22 days after the first day of the legislative session a writ calling for a special election unless the house in which the contest has been tried has passed a resolution which states that it will or will not review the court's determination. So, what's that?
That's not. Wait a second. Vacancy results from election contest.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think it's under subdivision 2. We wrote about
Oh,
this.
you think?
Yeah, it's under subdivision 2. Yeah, we wrote about this. See, this is exactly it. We wrote about it on Friday night, but Jesse's working a great job at the fair. So go to actionforlabor.com. Subdivision 2 describes what happens in this scenario. Because go back to that real quick. If you see it happens, it's really that first line. It's about 40 days,
Mm-hmm.
the 40th day prior to the opening day of session. The governor actually has quite a bit of leeway when to call this. But essentially what they need to do
the
is...
governor shall issue within 5 days after the vacancy occurs a writ calling for a special election. That's what it says in the subdivision 2 there.
Yeah, but that's if they're in session.
Oh,
if they're not in
sure, okay.
session, then it's... You see, it's in the odd number of years and the 40th day prior to the opening day of session in the succeeding even number of years. So essentially, he's got a little leeway, but the spirit of that law is that they're going to place a new legislator before the session meets again. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to happen. We don't know. I would guesstimate probably December, maybe January. December primary is what I'm guessing. I mean, listen, Walz gets so much discretion on it. He's going to call whatever's going to help the Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
But it is winnable. I think that's a good point.
Yeah, I think it might just be competitive. And, it's, the only thing that's going to be going on besides, some of these school board races and whatnot that are happening. So, absolutely. I think that, people should be paying attention to it. And I think that we the people are owed an explanation on why exactly Ruth Richardson is resigning and what is going on because of it.
What do we have, like a troll on here? What's going
Dawson
on?
did his work.
What
Not
are
a
we
very
saying?
good troll either.
What's
but
that?
Thanks for watching. Not a very good troll either. But
Is this a
thanks for
crazy
watching.
person? Well, like they always say, you don't have to take a competency test to get on any of the social media platforms. What did Dr. Lisa say? I missed that comment.
I did see that.
Yeah,
up
let's
there.
read that. The wonderful Lisa.
Let me find
I assume
it
that was the
here.
wonderful Lisa.
Yeah, she said, I had a woman tell me she thinks he's the best president ever. I started laughing and asked her if she was being sarcastic, and she was dead serious.
Wow.
So,
Do you think she's just a good actress? Like, she can't possibly believe that.
Right.
Whoever you are, if you're watching this show, I'm going to give you a platform. Yeah? We're doing something the Democrats don't do. We'll give you a platform. I want to hear why you think that.
Mm-hmm.
Is it when it comes to that kind of thing, like, is Biden the best president we've ever had? Is it because he's doing something right in the one issue that they care about? Is it
most likely?
Like
he's the most pro-transgender president
That's what
ever.
I mean. I feel like it's a lot of those people that are super, very woke and all into trans and everything like that. That absolutely love
so
him.
like he's the most extreme progressive president we've ever had. So
But, like,
well, it's not even that he's.
really
It's not even
believe
that
that?
he is. Yeah, no, it's just that Biden's asleep at the wheel as
Yeah.
this
Well,
stuff is
yeah,
going
that's
on,
true.
and Biden's just too afraid to call it out. That's what it really is. Biden knows that if he were to say what he actually feels on some of these things, he gets canceled. The Democrats don't want nothing to do with him anymore. So, yeah, Biden's just asleep.
Interesting.
Actually, that's a good point. That's how they get rid of Biden.
Yeah.
They just let him speak his mind on, like, transgender stuff.
Yeah,
and then
right.
he'll get thrown out of the party.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it might happen.
They got a grasp on the Democrat Party. They're insane.
And did we want to get into this U.S. Senate thing, too? We can do it real quick.
We don't have time. Can we do this on Thursday? Does that work for you?
Yeah,
Jesse?
we can do that.
Yeah, let's do it on Thursday instead. I want to wrap things up here.
We'll have Mort for that one.
He's the most unfit since
That's
Woodrow
Woodrow
Wilson,
Wilson,
says Tucker. Yeah. Well, FDR was pretty bad, too, by the way. And Jimmy Carter. But he's definitely the worst that we've seen. So.
Mm-hmm.
Were you alive during FDR?
What's that?
Were you alive during FDR?
I'm not. That's not even funny. You can't make those jokes about me.
As far as I know, FDR was the one in the wheelchair.
He was in a wheelchair.
Yep.
Dawson, who was the president before Trump?
Obama.
Who was the president before Obama?
George Bush.
George W. Yep.
Baby Bush, yeah.
Who was before George W?
Nixon.
Bill Clinton.
Hold on.
Clinton,
Did you really think it was Nixon?
No. I knew it wasn't. I didn't know who it was.
Who was before Clinton?
I don't know. I wasn't alive then.
Daddy Bush.
Yeah, one of the Bushes.
And then before George Bush?
Before that.
Don't let him answer that. So, like, when you say FDR, did you, like, think FDR's maybe somewhere in that category? Like,
yeah, I mean, I guess so.
Oh, my God. Like, FDR's, like, literally...
World War II.
Yeah, I was going to say 100 years ago. Not quite 100 years ago.
So
he would have taken office... When would he have taken office? Let's see. He was out of office in the 40s.
Yeah, 1932 or
49?
something.
Yeah,
Maybe
somewhere
was
like
his
32.
first election.
He was the only guy that was in more than 2 terms. They actually passed the 22nd Amendment?
I think it is.
Because before then, everyone just did 2 terms or out because that was what George Washington did. And then he comes along and he gets reelected 3 times. And he dies in office. I think pretty soon Harry Truman took over, right? So,
Okay.
yeah, he...
So you weren't alive?
No.
Pretty impressive.
Oh,
You're
man,
still
I'll tell you
running.
what, like, jeez, so much work dealing with this guy.
Carl Nelson says, did anyone watch the BLM protest at the front gate on the fair? Of the fair on Wednesday?
Was that
Carla, you
storming
didn't.
the fair?
I didn't
Yeah,
know that
Carla, your
happened.
video didn't come in when you sent it to me, so I just saw your text recap. But no, I
Oh.
didn't get to see it. So
Base Minnesota says Calvin Coolidge, best president ever, small government legend.
Coolidge, much in many regards, the best because like one of the most quiet presidential administrations ever.
Except for alcohol prohibition. He was a prohibitionist.
Was he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people forget about that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say one good president, you know. Obviously, I'm very Jeffersonian in my views.
Yeah, I'd say
constitutionally.
Washington.
Yeah.
The last good president we had was Washington?
No, just my favorite.
Oh, okay.
All right, well, we'll be back on Thursday. We might have a special guest. Mort's out of town this week, but if the guest that I have, because I think he's committed to it, if he is in studio, I don't know if I can call him the Godfather. I hope I can call him the Godfather. He's so good. It's going to be great. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I have a guess, but
Okay.
I'm not for sure.
I'll tell you after the show. I don't want to confirm yet because I don't know for certain he's going to do it, but he sounds like he's going to do it. And I think he could be a regular on the show. He's that good. He's one of the most interesting guys I know. So hopefully I can book that. Otherwise, you'll see Mega Jesse. Bridget, you won't be here on Thursdays now.
Correct.
Although we need you. We need you, Bridget, because otherwise it's just me and Mega Jesse. We can't do the show
Jesse
without
is
you.
very good.
He is pretty good. Don't build up his ego. Anyhow, we thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for everyone that stopped by the fair booth, and we'll see you back on Thursday. Take care.